Hey guys, it's Technology Freak, and I was wanting to talk about a couple of things that I think would benefit some people. Or if you guys just want to know some information, yeah, good idea. Maybe it's a good idea. So, I'm going to talk about accessible voice recorders. What is the best accessible voice recorder right now? I don't have it, but the Zoom H1 Essential is the newest accessible voice recorder under $100. And by under $100, I mean $100 if you already have an SD card and batteries and a USB-C cable. If you don't, then you'll have to buy all that stuff. Is that a problem? No. Is it a bit pricey? It depends on what kind of card you want. But then there are other accessible voice recorders, like the Olympus line of voice recorders, that has actually been faithful to the blind community ever since 2007, 8? Yeah. The first of them, and I think it's still on Amazon, I really hope it still is, the DS50. And that is a voice recorder that has voice guide, not voice guidance, voice guide. According to what they say on some websites. Now, there's also the infamous Eltron XV12 Pro that I reviewed and demoed on my main channel and did a tutorial on this channel. And I'm recording on an iPhone 12. The same iPhone 12 that I've recorded a bunch of my videos on from 2021 until 2023. My main recording device is, I'm just, giving it a break because I've used it for a while. And I'm like, I'm just going to do this. And not only that, Eltron XV12 Pro is one of those recorders that if you want to turn it on, it literally starts out at the date setup. And you have to set up the year, I believe the day, the month, or whatever. Now, I'm not sure who's actually behind the Eltron X, but the company, as far as I know, I've emailed the company to see about them making another update for it. But it's been so long that they're probably either A, out of business, or B, they're just around but have moved on to other projects. But as far as I know, the only device that they have on their website is that recorder. So it makes me wonder, people in the Czech Republic, why would they make a voice recorder for the blind when their main language isn't English? They have to translate the language. And a lot of blind people, if they wanted a 95% complete accessible voice recorder, the Eltron X was the way to go. The Eltron X was just the way to go. And if you wanted a somewhat accessible voice recorder, or at least something that will give you voice prompts, like the battery level, that it's ready, and that it's on the delay file screen, then the Microspeak is the way to go. The Microspeak is probably available around somewhere, like, I don't know where it is, but the Microspeak, I was going to try and get that, but, in all honesty, why would I want to spend about $60 to $70 on a voice recorder that literally you just record and play back files, and even the sound quality isn't even that great? It may sound great on paper, but in its execution, sure, Talking Products is a good company. They make like the recordable message thing, and then they also make another type of recorder. I forget what it is. But it's like $25 and it's not that great. I mean, Talking Products, that's literally their name, and they're based in the UK. Now, when it comes to companies like Olympus or Zoom or even Sony has no accessible voice recorders, but they do have other accessible products, like their Walkman A306 that runs Android 12. And then there's also, they even have a camera out that has its own screen reader. And they've updated it to where it can speak almost everything. They also have TVs with TalkBack or whatever. They also have their Xperia phones with TalkBack. Literally, it all is Android. Their Xperia phones and their Android Walkmans, the A507 or whatever it is. So they have a few modern accessible devices. But going back to voice recorders though, I know of a way you can make it usable by the blind, but you can't, a wise man once said, you can make things usable, but they don't have to be accessible, really. They can be usable. Like, for example, I've relied on inaccessible voice recorders, both from Sony and Olympus, for a number of years. And a good example, 2010, I was in school, okay? And I was around, 9, 10, maybe 11. No, I was 10. Definitely. I'm not going to up my age because I'm trying to make a point here. No. I was like maybe 10 years old, and I had a voice recorder, okay? Someone handed me a Sony voice recorder. I didn't really know too much about them, and I honestly didn't care. I didn't know there was a menu system that you can navigate. I didn't know there was a file list. I didn't know that until I was about 5 years older. In 2015, I got my own personal voice recorder. It was an Olympus. I had a bad time of it. I was trying to erase a file, but it ended up going slow. There was a slow playback file option, I guess. The thing wasn't accessible either. Usually when the voice recorder comes up, the accessibility comes up. And I've been around those inaccessible voice recorders. I've managed to get one to work for my needs. I've been able to look at the file system. I've been able to maybe somewhat, change folders, erase files, record files, play them back. So it's not really a problem if you can manage it. You just gotta have the smarts. You just gotta have the brain power to realize, what do you do? Well, you gotta know what you're doing first of all. You can be taught the button layout. I was taught the button layout. Why can't anyone else? Why? Why can't somebody just use their brain and be taught the menu options of a recorder? Like me and someone who used to be named, me and Kane Kaiser used to, I would get a recorder, okay, from years past. I would have it around, like the Olympus VM7200. He made that possible. We went through the menu options, he typed them out, he sent them to me, and I got them. I'm not sure they're around now, but hopefully they are. But the point is, you can make something usable, but there are accessible recorders out there. There are, the Olympus lineup that used to be accessible, and it isn't anymore, I don't think. So there's an Olympus DM720 that was released in 2016, not 2017. It was released in 2016, and it's an 8-year-old recorder, and it's still being recommended by people today. Now, I'm not saying that you can't use it. It's definitely doable if you can live with the 36 gigabytes you can get up to. Yeah, that's right. On the standard model, on the lowest end model of the DM720, which is 4 gigabytes, you can get up to 36 gigabytes with the micro SD card expanded up to that amount. So the SD card can go up to 32. You can put up to a 32 gigabyte. And you have the 4 gigabytes of storage that's built in. So there you go. Most of the recorders I come across are 4 gigabyte models. But what I might get on Thursday could change that. Well, not on Thursday, but it could be bought on Thursday. I don't know. And that's what I want to talk about. When I'm going to get the Zoom H1 Essential. It's probably going to be probably Saturday, a week from today. I don't know. But the thing is, the Zoom H1 Essential is the most modern voice recorder for blind people in terms of accessibility. Zoom has 3 recorders, as I've said before, in their new Essential line. Zoom H1E, Zoom H4E, Zoom H6E. Zoom H1 Essential is a portable voice recorder and is really, truly a handheld. The Zoom H4 is a bit bigger, but the Zoom H6 is a heck of a lot bigger at about 10 inches. It has voice guidance or guide sound, and it uses all 3 of them do, but all three of them have varying levels of accessibility. Yeah, you heard me right. Not every one of them is completely accessible. The H1 Essential is not accessible on the help screen or the the file list. However, what sets the Zoom H1 Essential apart from all the other recorders is that when you are in the file list or in playback mode, the recorder tells you about it. And how do I know this? Come on. You've never heard of YouTube if you don't know what this is. If you don't know what I've listened to. I've listened to Gallagher123123 make his video. I listened to the Tech Piano Player Kid make a video. I myself have made a video, talking about it. I spent over 25 minutes talking about it. And the Zoom H1 Essential, it seems to be a bit popular with blind people now. Now, whenever it comes to sighted people, however, is when the recorder turns on for the first time, they are going to know. Because Zoom is a very popular company when it comes to their synthesizers and all that stuff. And synthesizers, I mean, I think you know what I mean. If you're a music expert, they're more for the music stuff and they're more for professionals. But I'm assuming if you want to use a recorder like that, you can never want to do that. There's literally no reason why I can't get used to something like the Zoom H1 Essential. There's really nothing to get used to, period. It's just the way you use the buttons and all that. Now, your typical digital voice recorder would have the record button below the screen. But, yeah. So what we talked about on the overview on my main channel, and those will be talked about in the tutorial series that I'm going to do. Now, they just came out with an update a little while ago. The Zoom, it's update version 1.20, and it gives you the ability to toggle off the accessibility when you don't need it. So, I'm sorry. Let's say, for example, you are wanting to record, but you don't want the voice guidance on. You could, triple click the menu button, kind of like how you click the side button on an iPhone or on a Fire tablet. And there you go. Voice guide is off, or the guide sound is off. But my point about this video is really what is the most accessible voice recorder? What is the most accessible digital voice recorder? Well, believe it or not, it is the Ultranex. I'm sorry to say that, but it is. As old as it is, and as blindy focused as it is, it's the most accessible voice recorder on the planet. Now, granted, the only part of the voice recorder that isn't accessible, actually, no, scratch that. There are two parts where it isn't accessible. When you scan for radio, when you do manual tuning on the FM radio, this isn't really a big deal, but when you do manual tuning, there is no feedback whatsoever. And when you go into the language screen for the text, that's not accessible. The recorder can play back audiobooks and music files. It can do that. It's just my experience wasn't that great because it kept getting dropped. It just seemed a bit slow for me because it's like it stuttered on the word MP3. It was like MP3 or something like that. And it was like, I mean, okay, I gotta give them credit. At least it's accessible. Oh man. However, it's, I don't know. They say faster engine. More like it was more faster in earlier versions, because I looked at a video where the person demonstrating it was able to get to the options much quicker, and the voice guidance would keep up with them. But regardless, it's the most accessible voice recorder on the planet. Every menu item is spoken except for that language menu. I mean, they pretty much thought of everything. A way to get the time without having to like go in the thing. Now the Zoom does not. The Zoom H1 Essential. There is no way to get the time. Now I can ask Zoom if they can maybe make a way to get the time. They have that the Zoom gains one thing that all the others don't have, and that is a way to turn off the accessibility without having to go into the menu. Now what sighted people can do, well, I'm blind completely. What a sighted individual can do is set it up with accessibility, but then turn the accessibility off once the recorder is all set up. But yeah, I would say the most accessible Olympus recorder is the Olympus DM720 out of the DM recorders. There's also a DM750. I didn't even know that. I can probably try and get that. It was launched in 2018. So it was released a little bit later. And it does have voice guidance, I think. It should, at least. The Olympus LSP5, that does not have voice guidance. That isn't available anymore. Well, I'm done.